so then when the pigs are done, we pick this all up. It's all nice and fluffy and aerobic compost. And that, of course, closes the loop to our fertility cycle. So what you've just seen is our fertilizer factory. We do add some green sand and some trace mineral to it, some wood ashes, and then that goes out in the field to spread as compost. In the spring green up, when the actinomycetes and the azotobacter and the gibberellins are all hungry, waking up from their winter's fast, wanting to eat. Now, when all that's cleaned out, we throw poultry netting up around that same space, put poultry netting in there, and raise ready-to-lay pullets for all the global corporate Dilbert cubicle refugees that are fleeing to the countryside to buy their McMansion and their little farmette to join the American mystique of gentility and own a farmette. Now you see, in our neighborhood, all the old farmers, they're complaining about all these people moving into this area. Oh, I don't want these people moving in. All these McMansions and these, little farmettes, they always go on top of the hill, and I don't want all these people moving in. Well, for a century, farmers have been trying to figure out how do we get our stuff to the customer. Now that the customer's coming to us, they badmouth it. Well, I've learned something real important. I've learned it's very difficult to lift a guy's billfold without giving him a hug. And so I go out and embrace all of these new Dilbert cubicle e-money wealth, and have my own private wealth distribution program. And of course, one thing that they're wanting is 3, 4, 5 chickens. And if they're going to buy a ready-to-lay pullet for chickens in the backyard, there's one place in the Mid-Atlantic region to get them, and that's us. We sell $10,000 to $20,000 worth of chickens in onesies, twosies, threesies, foursies. Some people don't even want them all winter. They want them for the season, and then they bring them back. Like rent a chicken deal. I mean, it's... So you have the pigs, you have the chickens. The point is, if you're going to have a facility, you've seen this facility now with cows in it, pigs in it, chickens in it. The point is, you want to use the facility year-round, but you want to run multiple different species through it to create pathogen cul-de-sacs and confuse the pathogens. See, if you have a single species infrastructure, then what you have is a host every day of the year, and the pathogen virulence just builds and builds and builds because you always have a host, and the pathogens never have to worry about surviving. All they've got to worry about is becoming more virulent. But in this kind of setting, we're using the structure for different critters that create pathogen cul-de-sacs. So when the pigs are done, then they go out into pig pastures, which are roughly quarter to half acre pastures, eating local GMO-free grain. We don't use any genetically modified organisms. Every time they eat a ton, they move into the next paddock. So they get their salad bar, they get their grain, and they get to gambol, run, get exercise, sing opera if they want to, but they get to fully express their pigness out in these pig pastures. Now, we only run them through 3 times a year. They're on there anywhere from 4 to 10 days per stay. That's all. And then there's this long rest period, and then they come back. All those grasses and forages that you just saw, we never planted. We never put on a bag of fertilizer. We never planted a seed. Never did anything. That is just 20 years of pig management, intensive pig management, and timed disturbance. Now I'm going to belabor this slide a minute. I'm going to stay right here for about 2 minutes, and I want to talk about disturbance. Yes, when those pigs leave, yeah, it's kind of disturbed. But immediately, it comes back. You see, what's on the right is where they've just left. What's on the left is the recuperation. All right? And the diversity of the flora there is a direct result of the succession and the freshening up of the disturbance. Look, if you want to have a garden in your backyard, you don't just take some carrot seeds and beet seeds and throw them over your shoulder off the back stoop in the lawn and say, oh, I've got a garden. You're going to have to get a shovel. You have to get a spade, right? You have to do some disturbance. If you want an intimate marriage, you're going to have some disturbing conversations. Otherwise, you're just going to walk around on eggshells all your life. Disturbance is the beginning of innovation. Just like destruction is the beginning of construction. If you want to go out and build a shed or a house, first of all, it looks like the pits. The backhoe comes in and rips things up and tears trees out, and the bulldozer pushes trees aside, and there's mud everywhere, and you're slipping and sliding, you got boards to walk on. It looks like trash. But that's the beginning of successional innovation. If you want to build muscle, you have to tear down old muscle, and then the repair is stronger than what you tore down. Now, you can't tear it down every day, but you have a regimen that lets you do disturbance and then healing, disturbance and then healing. It's disturbance and rest, disturbance. That is the beginning of the freshening up. The Egyptians have the saying of the phoenix rising from the ashes. Everybody loves to see the phoenix coming up, but nobody wants to talk about the ashes that were required for the phoenix to rise. So this disturbance being the beginning of freshening up and successional innovation is absolutely critical in every facet of life. It's even true politically. This is the problem with the bailout plan. It did not allow the disturbance that was necessary to bury the old paradigms and freshen up the economic models in the minds to make room for new, innovative entrepreneurial paradigms that would be better than the ashes. And so nature is just like this. Ecology is just like our bodies. Our bodies are a microcosm of ecology. If you just sit on a couch and drink mint juleps all day, you're going to become flabby, sloppy, and one-dimensional. Blech. Okay? The ecology is the same way. This ecology out here is used to hundreds and hundreds of years of herbivores and fires and predators and prey and activity and disturbance moving across. If you don't believe me, read Jared Diamond's Guns, Germs, and Steel, read The Ecological Indian, read the book 1491. Folks, there never has been a wilderness area. It has always been periodically disturbed. That's what built the great soils of the Midwest. 2 million buffalo. Jim Bridger in his journal, when he went through the Black Hills, he got behind a herd of buffalo. It took them a week to find a blade of grass, to get out from behind. He said if we hadn't carried our own oats, we'd have all died and the horses would have all died. The wallers were as big as this tent. Big slows, you read about them in Little House on the Prairie. Big pox on the prairie that created successional habitat for salamanders and amphibians and things to grow in the prairie and stimulate new germination zones and habitats in the prairie by disturbance. If we don't periodically disturb the ecology, it becomes a lethargic couch potato ecology. And so what we're doing here is ecological nurturing massage. And that is the secret to carbon sequestration, cycling, and successional regeneration and freshening up of the ecology. Okay? All right. I mean, if you don't believe this whole disturbance thing, just think about it a minute. You know, having a baby is pretty disturbing. But what kind of an innovative culture would we be if we didn't have any babies? See? You know, when a principle spans spiritual, mental, emotional, ecological, economic truth, you know you got truth. That's how you know you have truth. All right, so the pigs are building their ecology there through the disturbance. All of these plants, look at the diversity here. All of those are volunteer. They're in the seed bank. They're brought in on the wings of birds, on the flanks of deer, on the legs of possums. And this seed bank is allowed to germinate from the periodic disturbance to eventually create what I call my biological cathedral. This is 20 years of systematic porcine disturbance followed by healing, rest. Okay? That is the ecology. All right.
Little last bird sing the prettiest song.